Good afternoon. This is Mike from SADT. I promised some of my subscribers a video that goes back into being prepared in an urban environment. And I wanted to come to you today with what it takes to be prepared in an urban environment. Now, the thing about an urban environment is different from all others is a lot of the spaces that you're going to be dealing with are contracted. The situation might be that you're not living in a single family dwelling. It might be that the space is inadequate as far as having places to garden and resupply and hold a lot of goods in one location for a long period of time because of space. I mean, if you got a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment with 2 or 3 people living in there, you are not going to have storage space for a whole bunch of things in like an apartment or even a really small like mobile home or a condominium or something like that. So you have to be able to improvise. In other words, you have to have this ready to deal with all the things that you might be dealing with in a situation where you don't have everything you need at hand all the time. And what that means is that you're going to have to figure out how to use other things in the place of things that you might need. And I talked about that in my MacGyver Man video. You might want to go back and check that video. But this is going to be over and above some of those things. You want to be able to make melee weapons and tools that can get you out of a jam, but at the same time, you want to be proactive and making sure that the bad guys have a very rough time, a very hard time in getting to you. So you have time to react and get to those tools. When you're living in an apartment situation or in a urban area where everybody is packed in on top of each other, maybe it might be about 14, 15, 16 houses on one block on each side of the street. So you have 30 something homes facing each other and side to side on a city block. I mean, when you have that density of population with several people living in each house, if everything shuts down where they can't get food, water, they don't have adequate shelter, heating, all of those things, then things are going to break down. And there's not enough law enforcement people or first responders to compensate for the vast amount of people that are in an area and the time that they would have to get to that location when a problem is taking place. So you're going to have to be ready, you're going to have to be prepared. A lot of things you're going to have to do that will undermine or make the person uncomfortable. When I say uncomfortable, this is what I mean. When you have a criminal element, the main thing that they want to do is establish a comfort zone so that they feel comfortable in committing the crime that they're about to commit. So as a law enforcement security person or a close protection agent, you want to make the bad guy or the home invader feel less comfortable and less inclined to make an attack on you. By doing that, he will go somewhere else and look for an easier, softer target, and that's your goal. And so some of the things that I'm going to touch on today is going to prepare you to think outside the box and in untraditional ways of doing that same thing. One thing that I want to talk about very quickly here is animals. Animals like cats and dogs. Dogs are invaluable tools in certain situations. But let me tell you something. In an urban SHTF situation, dogs might not cut it unless you have a very well-trained dog. And I've worked with dogs in law enforcement type situations. Even some of the most trained police dogs can give away a location or a signal to others that that you're there and that you're uh, uh, operational as far as law enforcement is concerned. You want to make sure that you have as little tip-offs to your exact locations as possible. So if you have a pet, yeah, that pet might be able to run up and bite somebody. But do you realize that in China right now you can find the videos on YouTube right here You can find videos where there's Chinese people running around grabbing big dogs, throwing them in the back of vans, and taking and butchering them for food. So if you can do that, then your watchdog is not as much of a watchdog as you think it is. It's a reason why third world countries have very few pets, especially dogs and cats. They have very few of them. Most people do not have those. And the reason why is because dog meat, monkey meat, all of that type of thing are part of the cuisine in a lot of areas around the world. And I'm not trying to say anything disparaging about people because it's widely known, and you can find those videos also right here on YouTube. So let me get into the gist of my video today. There's various things you're going to need to survive. One of the first things I want to go into hygiene first. Hygiene, and I don't mean whether you have deodorant on, you're brushing your teeth and all that. What I'm talking about is general hygiene to the area to live. One of the best and most important things you can have to deal with a situation like that is this. This right here. You want to make sure that you have this. It might be shown in reverse here, but I'm sure everybody can read it. That says bleach. Chlorine bleach, chlorine, chlorine powder is one of the best things you can have. If you have a swimming pool or something like that, you have what's called shock treatment that you can use. You can liquefy that, dilute it down. You can clean water that you might have to use that otherwise might be deadly to you from bacteria or some type of pathogenic microbe that might be in it. You can kill that off with chlorine bleach in the right amount added to it. Now, you can find videos, again, on YouTube that will tell you the breakdown between chlorine and fresh water for not only bathing and stuff like that, but also adding to drinking water for long-term storage. So go ahead, look for those videos. I don't have enough time in this particular video because I'm going to go over a lot of stuff. I'm going to be running through it quickly so you can review the video over and over until you get the stuff listed that might pertain to your situation. Now, windows. Windows can be a problem in an urban environment as well as in a rural or country environment as well. Whenever you board up windows, now in a storm this is different, but when you're in a survival situation and you want to board up your windows, first thing you want to do is you want to get some of this. Now, this is a very small can, but you want to get a larger can. This is black paint. You want to paint your boards or plexiglass or whatever it is black. And yeah, you will not be able to see out of it. But the good news is no one will be able to see in. You want to make the appearance from outside like there's no lights on inside your house in case you have lights burning when the sun is down. Because light travels a long way. It also tells people that you have power, you have resources, and that might draw an attack on your premises. So you want blackout conditions. You want it to appear black even if there is some light, minute as it might be. The smallest amount of light carries a long way in a disaster situation or a combat zone. So you want to minimize lighting. One way to do that is paint. Even if it's glass, you want to paint that black if possible. Darken sheets, black sheets if you have them, dye some, put them up, get some Tarkistas black, and put those over your windows. If you have boards, paint your boards black before you put them up. Attach your boards from the inside. Your nails should be no more than 6 inches apart. They should be long nails like 9, 10 penny nails or screws throughout no more than 6 inches apart on the inside, making sure that you leave one board available that you can quickly remove and exit. The good thing is that the people on the outside won't know which panel or whatever section is an actual escape route. Never put yourself in a defensive situation where you don't have a way out. Always have an egress route for any entry position that you might make for yourself and those who depend on you to protect them. Okay, next point. I want to go into staircases. Now, in a situation where, just like in a tornado, one of the last resorts that people will take is their stairs down to the basement, or sometimes in a disaster situation when somebody might be attacking, your last retreat might be up the stairs. You could get that higher ground position over an attacker. That might be where your bedrooms are. It's upstairs, where you might have your safe with your weapons or whatever in an upstairs location. Well, one of the ways you can handle stairs, and I drew a little sketch, if you can see that, of some stairs. You want to find some plexiglass, some sheet metal, or some flat surface, even if you take it from your own home, like paneling or something, and you want to attach it, nail it so that it's attached to here, with the smooth side up, so that anyone in a hurry rushing down the stairs will slide down the stairs, falling onto the ground and making themselves more apt to be able to be taken out by a protecting force inside the house. Same thing for if they're running from outside and you're upstairs. If you have your stairs covered like this, where you've turned your staircase into a skid, they're going to have a hard time getting up those stairs to get you up here, giving you time to retreat back and get into your storage of your weapons, or escape through a window or whatever, that you might lock yourself in a safe room, whatever you might have to do. This is what I'm talking about. It's something like this. This is a funny drawing, but this is what I'm talking about. Just to give you some idea, you want to do something like this. This is what you want to do. And what that will do for you is it will give you that 5, 6, maybe 10 seconds that you need before they can adjust and try to OODA loop their way into a better position to attack you. You have the advantage now. You've oriented because you set it up. You can engage with your action plan to take out an invader in your home. And this is a good way to do it. Remember that. Create a skid so that they can't get up or down easily, causing them to, and you do this with your lights out, so they don't have any awareness of what they're about to face, because everybody believes there are going to be stairs. In some extreme conditions, if you have a wooden staircase, like going into your basement or something, you could even dismantle some of the stairs, and so that they think they're going down the stairs and all of a sudden they fall. This is in a critical disaster situation where you're going to have rioters and marauders coming in. This is something I've never seen anybody else cover, but trust me, it's very effective. It will slow down and stop many attacks from being successful. You won't stop them from happening because a person is already committed to the attack, and their overzealousness to get to you will actually be their downfall. A lot of times, just like in martial arts, you can use someone's uh, uh, overzealousness to attack and get you under control against them, and use that momentum, that force, that speed to their disadvantage. And that's what you want to do in this instance. Okay, we're going to go to the next thing. Most of the time when you have a disaster, you have certain things that have to trigger to actually create that disaster. Those things will be like a natural disaster, like wind, rain, uh, uh, tornadic conditions, earthquake, things like that, massive fires, things like that. Many times, one triggers the other one. You have a massive fire, it might burn the power lines down, set the the power station on fire, make them have to shut down power. So now you lose power. When you lose power, you also lose the ability to pump, because many uh, uh, gas, water, these systems have electrical shut-off valves and transfer valves and motors in them that actually help actuate and move that water or that gas or whatever through the system. Once you cut power, you only have so many hours, so it's incumbent on you to drain as much water out of that system in your tubs and every open thing, your deep sinks in the basement if you have them, in containers, every container you can find, your fish tanks, whatever you might have, fill them up with water. They have bladders that actually fit into your bathtub that you can put in there and you can fill up with water. And that way you have this big, large bladder of water, something like 50 gallons of water in this bladder. Plus you have water in your hot water tank. You have water that's potable to some extent in the tank on your toilet. You can fill up your kitchen sinks, your bathtub, your bathroom sinks, and then you got a pretty decent supply of water. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you have a week or so of bottled water stored as well as filtration equipment. Let me tell you, never be sitting in a situation where you don't have at least 3 days of fresh water in your home. When you're driving your car around, make sure that you have several bottles of water or a case of water in your car. You never know when a disaster is going to hit. You never know when you're going to need it. They have these right here, which is a Sawyer brand water filter. It's a personal thing. You can attach to a bottle. You can use it. It has a straw. You can stick it directly in a water container or a place where there's water, and you can actually drink from there to get some water that's potable that will not make you sick. Those filters work very well. They're not 100% for everything. If you got oils and toxins in the water, you don't want to drink that water. That doesn't mean you can't maybe purify it enough to bathe in, but it's a difference between what you can bathe in, what you can use for certain situations, what you can use as a solvent, and what you want to use to put into your body to ingest. Now, in case you do, I want to tell people a secret that they probably never heard about. But this is something that many people who are real survivalists know about, and real holistic medicine people know about this. This right here is vitamin C, ascorbic acid. You can buy this online. You can get it at the health food store. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C. When the people came here many years ago, centuries ago, when they first came to the Americas, they came here on ships. And many times they were eating canned foods that didn't have vitamin C in it. As a result, they got diseases. It triggered conditions in their body where they were bleeding from the orifices and from their mucous membrane. And one of the reasons why this was having is called scurvy. And the reason why they were having this is because when your body is deficient in vitamin C, the cell wall breaks down, and because of free radicals and stuff attacking the cells, and the cell dies, and you have rapid apoptosis type conditions, and the cells explode. And when they do, the cell wall ruptures and you bleed through those. So what you get is something similar to an Ebola-like thing without a bacterium causing it. You have a hemorrhagic condition inside the body. One way you can defeat that is with vitamin C. Vitamin C also has a characteristic of being able to help people deal better with toxins of all sorts. So you should have an ample supply of vitamin C. Because one thing you're not going to be able to get is oranges, apples, and pieces of fruit that has vitamin C in it. What disaster situation can you think of where you think you're going to be able to go get some oranges and lemons and stuff? You're not going to be able to do that. I don't care if you live in the Everglades in Florida. You're just not going to be able to find citrus fruits or fruits and vegetables high in vitamin C laying around in a disaster situation. So it's incumbent on you to have the supplemental minerals and vitamins that you might need for a disaster, for long-term disaster, because also you're not going to be able to get prescription medicine that will help you with those conditions as well. So let me tell you something. Vitamin C has been used to treat snake bites and venomous insects and animals vitamin C. Look online, you'll see what I'm talking about. Learn more about it. Protect yourself and your family. Fire. Fire is something that people think, they hear about the Boy Scouts and all that. You get your rocks and you get some sticks and you hit them together and make a spark. Or you rub your sticks together, you put your little bow on it and you rub it back and forth. Let me tell you, all that is fine and dandy. But most of us, we're not going to have time or the inclination or the talent to do that. Uh, People who've been doing stuff like that, Marines, Army, infantry people, uh, special forces, survivalists, they might be able to do that. But the average person, you're going to waste a lot of energy, which you don't have to spare, trying to start a fire when you can easily have things like this. They could get wet, they could fail, they could run out of fuel, but long term, you'll learn all the things you need. But short term, have long matches, fireproof matches, even lighters, things like this. This is going to save you in a situation. Fire starter kits, these things are going to keep you out of trouble. All you need to do is get through 2 to 3 weeks, and things will start to normalize for you if you can make it that far in a long-term disaster. Because by then, the population will be then thinned down, and you'll be able to better orient yourself. The shock of the event will be more off, and you'll be more able to deal with the situation that you find yourself in. There's also things like this. Once you get a fire started, you got to keep it going for light, for whatever. One way to keep it going is with simple candles. I mean, candles are hard to find now. You go to a hardware store looking for candles, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to find them. Try it. You could find birthday candles. You might find candles for a candelabra or something, but you're not going to find utility candles like these Sterno emergency use candles. You have to order them now because they have switched over to the LED lights using batteries, which aren't a bad thing. In fact, I'm going to show you some today. And the reason why I'm going to show them to you is for a security reason. Remember, I told you a minute ago about dogs. I told you dogs are not necessarily a good way to defend a perimeter in a disaster situation because dogs have gratuitous noise, gratuitous barking, as well as alarm barking that might be helpful. There could be a jackrabbit running past and a dog might hear it or see it and start barking. Well, that bark might give you away and someone could open up with a lot of semi-automatic fire and through your walls and you and the dog are no longer here anymore. So I love dogs, but dogs have their place. In disasters, long-term disasters, SHTF, WROL situations, dogs generally are a deficit, not an advantage, because there's another mouth to feed. You need more water. You need walking time. You need all of those things. A dog is like a fuzzy 6-year-old in most cases. So the thing is they're great pets. They can be very good for your emotional stability and everything. But if you're in an urban environment trying to lay low and you got a dog, 9 times out of 10, before a week is up, you're going to be exposed. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about survival. Something else that you want to make sure you have is you want to have food, but in case you come across some food, most people aren't going to have dehydrated food, so they're going to have fresh food and canned goods and stuff like that, dried goods. Dried goods use a lot of water. They don't come packed with water like spaghetti, beans, and rice and all that. You got to find water to cook them in. When you cook, the water is going to go up into the atmosphere. You're burning up the water supply you have. So a lot of times we have to rely on canned goods. So one of the things that you want to make sure of is that you have this, a can opener. You'd be surprised. Many people don't have this. They have an electric can opener sitting on their counter. Problem with electric can openers, when the power goes out, you can't use them. So you want to have one of those, at least one, remembering that 2 is 1, 1 is none. That can break. You know, someone else might need one. You might lose it, whatever, in a situation where you're moving fast. Also, this right here, it's called a John Wayne. That's what we used to call him in the Marine Corps. This right here, open a can just as well as that can opener will, and look at how small it is. Fit in your pocket, in your wallet, around your neck, just like we used to do in the Marine Corps. So remember this, John Wayne, this works very effectively for open the can. You can find these at any Army, Navy surplus store or any survival store as well. There's other, little portable can openers that you can have as well. But that one right there is time tested, proven. They don't break. They last forever. And that's what you need in a situation like this. Moving right along, we're going to go to something else now. Let me see. I went into some melee tools in a previous video. I told you about that. It's called MacGyver, man. I'm just going to touch on this really quick. Sometimes people say, well, I don't have any weapons. I don't have anything. I have a knife, but I don't have anything else. Look, you see that? This is a table leg. And trust me, this puts a Louisville slugger to shame. This solid wood, and it's going to do the trick. It's got those bolts going through it. And trust me, somebody's trying to break into your house and you don't have anything else, your apartment, this is a great tool to have to try to repel them, at least for a while, until you can do better. We're going to get into that home security, that perimeter security. We want to protect the outside of your home to keep them from getting close enough to do something to you without you knowing about it. Because guess what? This might be foreign to a lot of us preppers out here, those beginning preppers. You got to sleep sometime. And unless you got a mad group with 5 or 10 people in it, if it's just you and one other person or 2 other people, maybe one of them's a child, never had any training, they might doze off in the middle of the night. Who's going to be looking out for you and your family when everybody falls to sleep? Because they're so tired, because for the last week and a half they've been up and not able to sleep well because of various things, including heat, cold, food, sickness, fear. All of those factors will not keep you from not being able to sleep properly. So what are the ways you can compensate for those things? One of the ways you can compensate with it is battery-powered electronic equipment. So that said, you need a very large storage of batteries. Most of these devices operate off of AAA or AA batteries. Some work off rechargeable batteries that are not AA and AAA. You can find those as well. Make sure you have an ample supply of those and the charging apparatus to use those. So we're going to go into these things, the ones we have available that I can show you today without actually dismantling my property to try to get them. But these are easy, they're inexpensive, and you can utilize these to great effect in making your home and your property or whatever situation that you're trying to secure more secure, and you can feel more safe and you can sleep. Being afraid to sleep is one of the things that will keep you awake, and then when you need to be awake, you'll fall asleep. Trust me on that. Okay, first thing we're going to show you is some of these little lights. These lights right here, I have a lot of lighting around, so it's hard for you to make it out, but these little lights right here, attached, this one has Velcro on the back, but it also has an attaching board that it fits on. But if you want to be able to take it off quickly and move it around, you can easily do that with this device. It comes on, it gives you a bright light in the dark, but more importantly than that, what it will do is it will trigger a warning to you that when it has a motion detection system. When at night, when someone walks past it, that turns the light on. This is another one. Same type of device. A little bit different. It tilts down so you can get somebody crawling or flying over or whatever. You see, when they come on, they're pretty bright. And in a total dark situation, that's enough light without making a sound. It's not going to alarm or anything. It's just going to pop on. That's going to tell the bad guy that's trying to creep up on your house, he's been made, he's been seen. And now he has to decide whether he's going to continue forward after you had this lit alert, or whether he's going to retreat and try something another day or go somewhere else. So those are ways. It's better than a dog because it's not going to go off unless something's actually there. Something actually is moving into your territory. It's going to go off and let you know that it's there. In fact, the more, the longer this situation goes on, the less likely there will be just random people walking past. The only people that will be walking past is someone looking for something, and you want to know that they're there before they can get to you or to your equipment. You want to have lights like this. I've shown this before. These type of lights, you want to have these. It's a lantern. It works off batteries. You have to have a lot of batteries. You need to have these type things. You need these other types of devices for the same reason. This is like an electronic dog. As soon as this thing detects movement or heat or whatever, it's going to start signaling. This is the control panel for it. It gives you an indication when something is in front of it. When something gets in front of this little sensor right here, it's going to trigger this. This can be sitting up inside your home where you can see it. It actually, you can't see it in this picture, but the one is lighting up because this sensor right here is timed into the one on this board. So what it's going to do is it's going to tell you that something has invaded. Let me put this back down. Something has invaded sector 1. It has 1, 2, and 3 on it, if you can see that. 1, 2, and 3. And what those are going to do is you put those in different sectors. One in the front of the house, one in the back of the house. Now you can sleep because if anything comes around there, first of all, you got your lights set up. Those lights are going to let you know that that is something out there. If something gets a little bit closer, this goes off. This tells you go into alert. Now, the thing about having rechargeable batteries and things like that, you have to have a way to keep them charged, as well as your cell phones, your computers, your radios, or whatever it is you might have. Well, you might not have the money to invest in a generator system, that hooks into your house and have it hooked in right so that it doesn't electrocute somebody on another property or on a power line somewhere. If you don't have it set up right, those things can be very dangerous, and you have to have a hookup for them. You might electrocute yourself if you don't really know what you're doing. This right here is called an inverter. This particular one is an 800 watt one. This will run small lamps and lights and everything, and guess what? You can hook a car battery to this. So maybe you don't have a car. Maybe you don't have a car because you never thought about having one because you live in the city. You don't have a place to park it. It's impractical at this time for you to have one. Maybe you have a bike. Maybe you walk to work. Maybe you commute on the train or the bus. Well, in a disaster situation, that car can be invaluable because the car can act as a generator. Actually has a type of a generator in it called an alternator. That alternator is a generator. It just changes the amount of power that it's sending out, the amount of amps that it's sending out based on the load that's being drawn from it by your automobile. Now, what you can do is you can actually suck off of that alternator by running your vehicle and hooking an inverter like the one I just showed you, by hooking it to your battery cables, your battery terminals in your car without disconnecting your battery, hooking these to the right terminals, and then it has plugs. It has the USB port right here. It has phone charge places. It can help you out a lot in a situation, a critical situation where you need power to charge the things that you need to live, like these lights and stuff. The batteries, if you have batteries that can be recharged, you can recharge one set while you're running a set. So you can keep that going for quite a while. I wanted to show you that because there are alternative ways to take care of things when you live in an apartment. And one of the ways is by thinking outside of the box and getting some of these things beforehand instead of waiting until you have to run down to the store. Now you want to get into more advanced things. You want to make sure you have fire extinguishers. Not one, multiple fire extinguishers. Maybe a hose that you can attach to your sink or something. Because a lot of times when riot conditions take place, if people can't get to you easy, they'll start throwing fire bombs and trying to torture property. Well, you have to have a means of defending against that. You want all the means you can come up with. And many of the times, smoke inhalation, and dust and particles and stuff, debris can get in the air. And one of the things you can use is this. This right here is a mask. It's not going to stop gas or anything that's produced by smoke, carbon monoxide. This is not going to stop that. You're still going to lose oxygen and you're going to die from that. But this will buy you some time to stop the irritating particles and stuff from getting to you, keeping you having the ability to think straight and move through a situation with the least amount of stress and shock as possible. Shock is a killer, people. Shock is one of the main killers that you will face in any combat situation. When you get hit in the nose, if you freeze, you're going to lose that fight. If you can get hit in the nose and keep fighting, never quit attitude, you might win that fight. You might discourage your opponent. They might give up before you give up. So basically what I'm telling you is develop a never quit attitude. Keep fighting until the fight is done. We're going to jump back to the security real quick right off of that, and then we're going to go back into the protections, the security protections like fire extinguisher stuff, gas mask type things. This right here is another system. I'm not going to even tell you the maker because I'm not advertising. But you can find this easy. You can find things like it. I'm going to show you something that a lot of people don't know about. Now, on my phone, I have an app. Now, that might not be working in every type of situation, but they have these that uh, that are hard. You can hardwire this, and you can use your computer, irregardless of whether you have an internet connection or whether this wireless will work or not. So let me just demonstrate how this works quickly. Sorry about that. Well, the thing about this, you'll see it actuate in a minute. Watch it. These things right here can be very handy in watching your environment. And you can see how it's moving around by itself. Well, this is what you do with your phone or your computer, your laptop. You can move the camera around and look 360 degrees with this camera. And you can have multiple cameras just like this. They don't cost a lot. And you can put those around your property and give you more peace of mind. So you hear a sound, your lights come on that I just showed you. The sound goes off. Do you go out and check, or do you hold your position and look on that camera? Think about it. These are just suggestions, things that you can use that can make you more safe, or at least have the overall feeling of safety. And that's very important in survival when you have a family situation or a group of people. Is feeling safe is 90% of the struggle with long-term survival. If you don't feel safe, you can't rest. Your health will actually decrease because of the stress related to not feeling safe and being safe and eating adequately and having enough water. So it's important. It's important for the leader. It's incumbent on a leadership to make sure that you foster and you develop an environment that makes people be able to feel safe. In the military, we practice and we train for what's called NBC. That's nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. Something like this. I'm not going to unroll it. This is actually a suit that you put on. This is the hood you put on your body, and it keeps your body covered in the event of some type of hazardous chemical spill, biological contaminant. It's not perfect. It's not foolproof. But let me tell you this. I'd rather have one of those than to not have it if I think there's a threat around. I see people falling like flies. Well, I myself, I don't want to be one of those flies. So I have many different ways of trying to make sure I'm not one of them. Let me show you this. I just showed you the dust mask. Well, this is an actual gas mask, military grade. And this is the canister filter that you screw onto it. I'm not going to open it up because this is secured for an event where it might be needed. Again, if your mind is on it, these things don't cost a lot of money, but they can be the most valuable asset you ever had if you need it. The problem is think about this. Whether you can afford it or not, can you afford and find one that'll fit a 2-year-old? Can you find one that'll fit a 7-year-old? The kid is not going to stay small. So as the child is growing, do you have a suit for all those stages while the child is growing? If not, there's other ways to actually make these things, to fabricate it out of plastic bags or whatever, temporary equipment with duct tape and whatnot that can be a lifesaver in a given situation. You need to find the things that you need, figure out how to make them work for you and your family. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video. I hope I touched on some things that a lot of people haven't thought about. This in the prepper community who are thinking about, I got everything I need. I got this, I got that. But many of the things I just went over, you never heard of. You never heard of securing stairs so that an invader can't run up the stairs or run down them without hurting themselves or not being able to get up there. You've never heard about this stuff before. And so I want to make sure that you know about it because I want you to survive if there's a SHTF situation. Another thing, if you do cover your windows with boards or whatever, make sure that you create some holes and then you put a flap of black paper, black plastic, black material, cloth material over that so that you can raise it up. That hole in there is called a loophole. This gives you the ability to position a weapon or to be able to see what's going on outside of the environment because you don't want to be blind to your environment. You want to be able to see. So you want to make sure that you have these things incorporated beforehand. You're not going to have time or the inclination to start developing these things when this situation is upon you. You don't believe me? Ask the people in Venezuela. Ask the people now, right now, in California what they think about what I'm saying. You're not ready before it happens. Don't think you're going to get ready after it happens because that's not going to happen. Again, this is Mike from SADT. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, if you saw anything to help, like the video, subscribe. Make sure you pass this on to other people you know because we live in a strange time. We don't know what's going to happen in November. And we don't know what's going to happen in 2020. We don't know what's going to happen as a result of what's going on in the Middle East right now. So if we don't know all those things, how can we know whether something is going to happen in our backyard? People in California didn't think that was getting ready to happen in their backyard. So again, make sure that you're prepping, make sure you're ready, make sure you have food, water, shelter, and a means to protect it. If you don't have those, you better be moving. You better be getting it. If you're a man of the house or a woman of the house, you don't have those, what are you going to do? Like I said before, crawl under the table with your kids, hide behind your wife. But if you're not going to do those things, get ready. Make sure your stuff is ready. Do something. Have some things prepared. No one's 100%, but I tell you what, you're a lot closer if you start than if you don't never start. Be strong. Stay safe.